Alltuition is TurboTax for financial aid. We take the complicated and stressful process of finding money for college, and we make it simple. So let me show you how it works. Let's say that you want to apply for financial aid from University of Chicago. Just type it in, and right away, we know that the University of Chicago requires two major forms, the FAFSA and the CSS profile. We know that by being a student at the school, you're eligible for 4 state grants, and we're also going to check if you're eligible for merit aid. So let's just get started. And we have a really easy sign-up flow. And as soon as you, yep, it also makes you type really fast. And as soon as you get to the interface, we show you that we're going to estimate your aid package, get you matched to aid after you answer about 20 different questions, and we're going to help you apply and file those forms. So let's head to your first task. And right away, we know that at the University of Chicago, even though the sticker price is $53,000, and this is a number that everybody knows, what they don't know is how that breaks down in terms of the grants and scholarships, the free money, the federal loans you're expected to take out, and the money that you're expected to pay out of pocket. But based on your income, we can compute those numbers for you based on previous historical data. And so as you change those numbers up and down, the breakdown changes, and you can observe that for your income. And we can also compare it across different schools. So we're going to add DePaul. We're also going to add UIC. And as you can see, at DePaul, even though the sticker price appears to be more than $10,000 cheaper, you're paying way more out of pocket. And at UIC, which is a state school, even though you'd expect to pay much less for a school that's only $24,000, you're actually paying about the same out of pocket to go there as you are to going to the University of Chicago. And when our users see this data, they're seeing it for the first time. They're able to compare the real cost of college for the first time because we're showing them this data. We're also able to compute how much federal loan debt you'll have after graduation and what those monthly payments are going to look like. Right now, students don't know these numbers until after they graduate from college, and we're saying you can know these numbers before you even apply. And so now we're going to find your aid matches. First, you need to confirm schools, and we know at your schools which forms are required. And we actually know it in more detail than we're showing you here, but so as not to overwhelm the user, we show you the major forms you have to do. And what we do then is combine these forms into one common application, eliminate all the redundancies, because as you're applying and going through these forms, you're entering your personal information and your financial information at the same time redundantly, and we eliminate all of those redundancies. The other thing that we do is as you answer these next 20 questions, we're going to trim down the parts of the application that don't apply to you. If dad's out of the picture, we're going to take out all the questions applying to him. And so let me show you a little bit of how the application works. This first question, is the student a US citizen? And you see an option that asks, no, the student is an eligible non-citizen. Well, what is an eligible non-citizen? And on the right-hand side, related Q&A pops up. And we do this for every single challenging question on which families might have questions so that you can answer that question without ever leaving the interface. Right now, as students go through these forms, they're Googling every single question that they have, and we don't think you should have to leave the interface to do that. So rather than take you through the entire application, which basically looks like this, we're going to skip to a user who has already completed the application. And as you can see, they've done questions about the student, questions about the parent, their assets, and we're at the sign and submit stage. And now all you have to do is the student e-signs, the parent e-signs, you submit, and you're done. And at this point, you have now finished applying for all of the free money from the federal and state government. You finished applying for loans that are subsidized by the government. And now there is, at this point, even that doesn't always cover the total cost of tuition. And at this point, families are looking at how much do I have to pay out of pocket, or should I borrow a private loan? And to make that easier for them, we've actually aggregated the rates, fees, and terms for every single private student loan provider in the country and made a search engine out of it. And so we not only collect all of these rates, fees, and terms, which nobody else does right now, we can also match you to private loans based on your hometown, your school, your degree type, and your loan amount, and narrow down to about the 20 loans that apply to you out of that world of 700. And again, here, you're seeing this data for users are seeing this data for the very first time. And as you can see, not all private student loans are created equal. We've seen the same user, the same person apply for multiple loans and get a 5.5% rate from one lender and an 11% rate from another lender, which means that over the life of the loan, that student is overpaying by $6,000 for that loan. And here we're showing you, again, this is a big ticket item where with the right information, spending 15 minutes with the right information can help families save thousands and thousands of dollars on their private loan decision. And I think we have time for one more feature. We're not going to go through everything, but I do want to show you repayment. So once you have these student loans, especially for federal student loans, the repayment process can be very daunting. There are multiple different federal government repayment programs, everything from public service loan forgiveness to income-based repayment that ties your repayment to your income. And we know, based on, we're able to suck in your loan data from the federal government and show you the programs that you're eligible for. And once you select a program, you can also compare these repayment plans in a graph, and we can show you what that payment looks like over the life of the loan. And at the point that you decide to apply for one of them, we can actually fill out the entire application for you with all of your loan data, all of your servicer data, all of your rates, fees, and terms attached. And at that point, you only have to enter your address and 2 references, and you're done. So I would love to share everything with you, but I'll leave it for the Q&A. And thank you. We're really looking forward to helping families get to school in a much cheaper way.
Awesome. Let's hear it for Alltuition. Okay, let's move over here. All right, I saw the judges were really intensely looking at the product. What do you think, Greg? You're a product guy, and...
Oh, they're behind me. Oh my God, I was standing in front of you the whole time.
You were. Is this on?
It's on.
Okay. I think this is a great product. I actually am wondering what inspired you to even think about this, and what motivates you to create this into a company?
So I went through financial aid myself. Silas, co-founder, also went through financial aid, and so did Sam, the third co-founder. We were also all engineers. And we looked at that process and had the same reaction. Wow, if there were a software company doing this, it would be way more efficient. There's 21 million people going through this process every year, and they're all doing it in this very 1990s sort of way. And also, students are getting screwed on their private student loans because there is so little transparency that everybody goes for loans that are the most heavily marketed, which are also the most expensive. And because that information is just not available to them, they are wasting, throwing money down the toilet. And so we wanted to build software that could eliminate those problems for the consumer.
Gotcha. Great.
Chamath, you've spent your career focused on product as well, both at America Online, running the AIM unit, which had tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of users when you ran it, and also running the only service that's ever reached 800 million users, and clearly will reach 1 billion. Boom, Facebook. Boom. What do you think of this product?
I think it's incredibly well executed. It is really, really clean, and I actually give you guys a lot of kudos for demystifying a lot of what is probably very either arcane or complicated data into something that's really just obvious and usable. So I think I give you a lot of props for that. The other thing that I would tell you for you to think about, just as a little bit more of a way where you can expand this thing, I think loans are interesting. I think, though, it's part and parcel of something which is bigger, which is that there are all these interesting signals that students give that are really incomplete to universities when they apply. And I think you solve one crucial part for the student, but the other part is not just identifying need, but also helping to give a better picture of the student itself. And the big thing that you touched on is there's a ton of people outside the US that are trying to get into US schools who have no path to figure that out. And I think there's something in there that's very big, because there's a ton of wealth that wants to basically pay for their kids to go to a place like Harvard or Berkeley or wherever, and they're anonymous. And so I think tuition is an interesting start. I would encourage you to think about what the broader sort of vision of what this thing can grow into if it works is.
That's great feedback.
Great. Steve, any thoughts? I mean, you see a lot of product.
Yeah, I'm impressed. I thought that it's something that I know is aggravating for students and parents, and simplifying something that's complicated and has resources in multiple locations. So I thought it was an elegant demo, and I guess since this is launched on the investment level, I think the questions that were going through my mind once I saw this, looks like an elegant product. It looks like there's a market need where things like how do you make money, market size, I think is pretty obvious, and competition. I think those were in front of an investor.
So how do you make money, and what's the competition?
So we make money very similar. Is my mic on?
Yeah.
We make money very similar to the way that TurboTax makes money. So you can use all of these tools for free, but at the point where you want to file your form and you say, send my information to all these different places that can give me aid, we charge you $89. And you can pay that $89 up to 5 times because we do this process every year. And then secondarily, we will also do lead gen for financial products, not student loans, because we want to remain kind of neutral and unbiased and help you find the cheapest loan there. But any other financial product is fair game.
Terrific. Thank you.
Neil, yeah.
One of the most lucrative businesses in the search business is actually education lead gen. a lot of people buy, they acquire a lead and they sell it 4 or 5 times at the back end. Have you considered actually integrating the certain class of universities into that process where if I'm looking at 3 universities in Chicago, there might also be a Phoenix University, or for lack of a better example, competitive university that would want to advertise, buy that lead, et cetera? I mean, it's a massive business.
Yeah, and that's something that we would love to do. In the interest of focus and conserving resources, we focused on only a few things this year, but that is something that we are very interested in pursuing.
And the question I have is, how available is the data? I mean, is that readily available for all the colleges, all the markets? How are you getting all this data into the system?
Some of the data we have to assemble entirely on our own. So, some of the cost data that you showed, that you saw, is difficult to figure out and not very available. And some of it is totally available. Obviously, forms, anyone can go and look at the forms and figure out a way to mesh them. But it's very expensive. You have to do it every year.
We spend a lot of resources aggregating data from thousands of colleges.
Got it. And is there a follow-up service once I applied and I've gotten actually, if I didn't get all the grants that I was expecting to get from the government, does it recalculate all my, what my monthly spend is going to be, and does it have a post-application diagnostic?
I see. So after you file your application, certainly if you have problems, we're happy to follow up with you, but with the financial aid process, it's much more important to just get it right the first time, because even if your school doesn't give you the aid that you thought you should get, the appeals process is very challenging. So we're trying to be there at the beginning of the process, and we do all of the error checking as much as we can beforehand, so that you turn in a form that doesn't have errors, and then after that, it's kind of up to the school what they're going to give you.
Awesome. Let's hear it for Alltuition.